have a look around at what the marketplace is paying other people right now. And the first thing you should do is find out what the marketplace is paying other people in your geography. If you're in Australia, you should find out what the average Australian salary is at the moment. And I can tell you, as I'm making this, that the average Australian salary is around $70,000, just a bit above $70,000. The average wage in Western Australia, which is a booming economy state, is only about $59,000. So if I was to go in and ask for a pay rise, I wouldn't say, look, I want the average West Australian rate, would I? No, because that would be helping who? Helping my opposition. That's up to them to do. What I would be asking for is the average Australian rate of $70,000. Also, once you've found out what the average rate is in your geography, find out what the average rate is for your particular skill set. So, for example, if you're an accountant, you might try and find out what the marketplace is paying to accountants. For example, I know that the average wage for Australian accountants at the moment is over $71,000. So now, if I'm an accountant and I'm playing the pay rise game, I'm not going to settle for near $70,000 like the average Australian does. I know that because I'm a qualified accountant, I'm worth more. I'm worth at least $1,000 per annum more. Okay, so we're in training and we're convincing ourselves that we deserve a pay rise on our own without any opposition there, first of all. And we're researching. We found out what we are worth on average to the marketplace just for being in the geography that we're in. Then we found out what we are worth on average to the marketplace for the particular skills and qualifications that we have. Now we want to find out what the marketplace is paying within our industry. For example, if you're in the mining industry, your wage will be quite different compared to if you're in the IT industry or the aged care industry or the retail industry. So no matter what your role is, you want to find out what is the marketplace paying within that particular industry. For example, I know that the average wage in the IT industry in Australia is over $72,000. So now I'm not going to settle for the average Australian wage. I'm not going to settle for an accounting wage. I'm going to settle for an average wage in the IT industry because I know that that is much more than the average wage. One of the things that you can do is research how much people in the marketplace, commercial providers of your service, are charging. Now, obviously, your game is to get the most highest pay provider. So, for example, if you're an accountant, try and find out who charges the most in town. Then find out what their rates are. Find out what their overtime rates are. Add the GST to it. Add their travelling time and other costs like accommodation and expenses that they will charge. Professional firms in particular have different rates for different people. They might only charge the junior in the office out at, say, $60 an hour, but the senior executive manager might be charging $500 an hour for their time plus GST. So find out what is the most expensive option and use that as your benchmark. Remember, it's your boss's job to try and minimise. It's your job to try and maximise the value that you are worth to the organisation. Get a written quote and then present that to your boss. Say, hey, this is what it would cost you if I wasn't here full time, if you had to buy in these services to the organisation. And not only would it cost you 10 times more, it would also mean that you'd have to book months in advance. You wouldn't have the flexibility that I provide. They wouldn't be on site for as long as I'm here. They wouldn't know the business as in-depth as I do. There's all these disadvantages in relation to those far exceeding costs and say to your boss, I'm providing all of these advantages and at much less cost. It will build a really strong case of value when you are determining how much you are worth in the marketplace. Try and keep a record, or at least start a record, of times when you have performed above your current position. For example, if you've relieved for your boss or for someone else, if you've taken on an unpalatable project that no one else wanted to do, or times when you have worked longer or harder or with different skill sets, particularly those skill sets that aren't duplicated anywhere else in the organisation. For example, if you can program in a particular computer language or build a website and no one else in your organisation can, then those unique, rare skills are bound to be worth a lot more than skills that everyone has. Why? Because if you leave the organisation, then the organisation will have to pay a consultant or some other expert to come in, and they are always highly priced, much more than they're paying you. It's a good habit to get into, to start looking at your achievements on a weekly or a monthly basis. Things can happen that you step up to and achieve, and then you forget about them when it comes time for reviewing your pay. If you've got a journal that you've kept over the weeks and months leading up to that pay discussion, then you can easily convince your boss of all of the things that are relevant. Anytime a colleague thanks you for something, you should make a note of it and keep a file. Anytime a client or a customer thanks you for something, you should make a note of it, or ask them to put it in writing and say you love receiving thank you letters and you value your client's feedback. That way, when it comes time to negotiate, you will have a whole portfolio of people who have confirmed independently that you provide value to the organisation, and it doesn't get better than that. It pays, literally, to take a look at your job description and find out what skills have increased since you took the job on. For example, if you used to bill 30 people and now you're billing 40 people, then you are billing 1/3 more people. So ask your boss to increase your pay by 1/3. He might fall over, but hey, you've got the numbers to back it up. Have you done any training and developed new skills or acquired qualifications or competencies? Are there any certificates hanging on your wall? It might be for something like fire safety training or first aid, and you think, well, that doesn't really have anything to do with my job. Well, then why did they send you on that course, or why did they recommend it, or why is it included as a requirement in your job description? Yes, it is of value, and so you should mention that to your boss. Bosses love employees who contribute to the organisation in specific ways. For example, if you increase sales, decrease costs, increase profits, increase productivity, increase efficiency, decrease waste, decrease the time taken, increase customer satisfaction, improve the corporate image, or explore a new competitive advantage. Note all of these areas that you have done what the organisation is looking for, because they spell out value big time to bosses. It's almost like an own goal if you've scored in those areas. One of the hidden secrets of negotiation is that anything that is written down appears to be much more authoritative than anything that you just say. So if you can, find some articles or a website or a report that mentions some average salaries or mentions some changes in the workplace that are giving pay rises, or that mentions the increased cost of labour or the increase in pay rises being granted, or the increase of cost of living in the particular area that you're at. Any of those things will help build your case. You need to think like a lawyer, building your case so that you can get the jury to say yes to you.